Edgar Rice Burroughs is a pretty imaginative guy. His esteemed character, Tarzan, became renowned all around the world for his strength and fearlessness. We may not be fighting hungry predators for survival, but the mightiest primitive man aspires everyone to triumph over any odds stacked against them. Including the folks at Taito, who thought Tarzan's adventures would make a great video game, bringing us Jungle King from 1982. Jungle King is an arcade adventure that tests your timing and precision in 4 distinct stages, which have a narrative shamelessly stolen from Edgar's stories. It landed Taito in some legal trouble, possibly drawing more attention to the game than it would have gotten otherwise. That's a great tale worth telling later, but first, the game. You need to trek through the perilous wilderness to stop your babe from being boiled by cannibals. The treacherous trip starts in the treetops where you'll time your button presses to soar from vine to vine like an eagle. Why don't we just jog, you ask? I don't know. That grass looks sharp enough to impale yourself on. You'll zoom to a great river, a great place to shower off your stink. But the potency of your armpits attracts a herd of crocodiles. You gotta dodge or stab them before they take their anger out on you while avoiding drowning. Back on solid ground, you'll take a hike up a mountain, never stopping, sometimes jumping. The auto-scrolling duck and jump action strongly resembles runner mobile games we have today, possibly creating the foundation for Pepsi Man. And at the peak of the hill, you're only a few leaps away from your love. That's it! When you score a sweet smooch, you rinse and repeat at a higher level of difficulty until your last life is gator food. It's not much today, but that was quite the adventure for its heyday. Now, normally I don't go out of my way to cover the earliest arcade games. I was born in 1995, 10 years after these games were relevant. Video games were still in their infancy in 1982, so many of the esteemed classics didn't exactly age elegantly. I don't want to be too unfair critiquing games that faced stiff technological limitations. So why would I single out Jungle King? That's simple. It's remarkably good, especially by 1982 standards. Typical games of this era faced problems with collision detection, controls, or even basic game design. Game development was an unexplored frontier. To give you an idea of how unsophisticated game dev was, Taito weren't even sure if they should give the player a bonus for finishing levels quickly. They leave it up to the arcade operator to decide if it's a good idea to encourage rushing. Thus, it's miraculous Jungle King has responsive controls, fair hit detection, and a cohesive narrative, making the level transitions seamlessly believable. Acing the fundamentals already makes a good game, but the exceptional variety in play cements Jungle King as an all-time classic. Every challenge is stimulating without any dull moments. The levels advance quickly, so you're never playing one level for too long, creating an ideal, timely pace. After all that, Taito went the extra mile for polish as the cherry on top of the sundae. The sound may be a bit bleepy, but the tunes are catchy and upbeat. The graphical detail, while limited, is exceptionally advanced for its time. Look really closely at Tarzan's feet when he swims. He kicks up and splashes water when he's close enough to the surface. Or better yet, there's more than one background layer on the first 2 levels. The background grass moving slower than the foreground grass. Yes, parallax scrolling in 1982. Need I say more? This game plays great, this game looked great, and you don't need to be a mathematician to add those together. Jungle King gets an A. With the review done, who's up for a bonus round, since this game's closely tied to its juicy legal drama? If you saw this game outside of Japan, chances are you remember it being a little different than the footage recorded. If you thought Jungle King wasn't shameless enough, it blatantly stole Tarzan's iconic roar, signaling the start of every game. Even when the game was first released, Taito was cautious about receiving a lawsuit releasing this game outside of Japan. So they swapped the human scream with loud animal roars when we got it in the United States. That wasn't enough to avoid attention from Edgar's estate, though. Taito was served a cease and desist to change the game by removing the Tarzan character and roar, resulting in a game less blatantly plagiarized. Thus, the revised game that got wider distribution, Jungle Hunt. This is the one that was brought to all the home computers, Atari, Commodore, and the whole song and dance. While it plays the same, it isn't nearly as memorable without the game screaming at the top of its lungs. It separated it from every other opening. But wait! There's more! Later that same year, Taito had a stroke of genius. They figured they could double down on their success and sell the same game again with a different coat of paint. Enter Pirate Pete, an upgrade kit to bring new life into those old, unwanted jungle hunts. Everything's been given an appropriate graphical overhaul to fit its swashbuckling theme. But there's also an upgrade nobody asked for. For no good reason, you'll randomly slip off the vines and die in level 1. I'm not a financial expert, but I don't think murdering the player immediately after starting is going to compel them to come back for more, especially compared to the much fairer Jungle Hunt. In either case, classic games are still being memory-holed to this day, and we wouldn't be able to hear the mighty roar older gamers remember if the legal system had its way. That subject deserves its own fascinating video. Explaining it now wouldn't be sufficient. You should hit subscribe and ring the bell so you can see it when it's released. I'd like to give a special thanks to Retro Pixel Lizard for recommending this game to me. I wouldn't have discovered it without him.